Welcome to Lich Please, the ultimate interplanar interview for all things D&D where the fourth wall doesn't exist. I'm Phil Terry, this is Ray Leno, my co-host, and we're about
Hello.
to interview our first official guest of the show. Ray, take it away.
Hello. I'm Ray, as Phil just said, and today's guest that we have is a pixie by the name of Whirl. Pixie, welcome to the show. I know it was probably a bit of a pain to get you here inside the Yawning Portal Tavern, but it is good to have you on the show. How are you?
It really wasn't that hard to get in here. I've been here before, so...
Oh, well, never mind then. Just, Phil, you just take over. I'll just shut up for the rest of the show. No one wants to talk to the Beholder, clearly.
I didn't say that.
Ray, so
You've
touchy,
you've
please.
said enough.
Please. Pardon my co-host. Now, I understand that you yourself are a tavern owner and you have seen quite a few adventurers come and go. Now, tell us a little bit about your bar. What's the name? Where do you run it out of? Anything unique about it? Any special cocktails?
Yeah, so it's called the Manic Tankard because, pixies are kind of known for being like the Manic Pixie, so I thought I'd just run with that. And it's kind of like a traveling bar, I guess you could say.
I'm sorry. What? A traveling bar? Could you
Yeah.
kind of elaborate on what you mean?
Yeah, whenever, portals to the Feywild open up and everything, we just kind of, poof, there. So we kind of watch whatever comes through and make sure it's nothing too bad, or invite those that come through to actually stay at the bar and get to know the material plane. It's
Oh,
actually really fun.
Interesting. That is very interesting.
curious.
What is your opinion of that, Phil?
Well, me being a lich, I certainly do have to start thinking about how one might make a teleporting tavern. There's a few more
Enchantment, I assume.
Obviously, but I really must
Yes.
consider the possibilities of a demiplane. It's fairly high-level magic, but it is quite castable by most.
I mean, it kind of helps when you're connected to an archfey, so
That would do it.
they kind of help out.
I have partied with a few archfey before. They do make things interesting.
They very do. They really do.
Oh, right. You remember the party back in college? The one archfey who showed up bringing the
Which one, Phil? There were many.
the one
It doesn't surprise me about this.
the one that brought the psychedelic apples. That one.
Oh yeah, I remember.
Yeah.
He was like a bit of a weirdo. He was probably into some freaky things in the bedroom, if you know what I mean.
Well, I wouldn't know, but my sister would. I'm sorry she was dating
Wait,
you
what?
at that point. Oh,
What?
What is happening?
I'm sorry. What?
sorry. We're
I mean,
getting off
it's
track.
not like I care anymore. But
Back to the interview.
You know.
So, I have
Okay.
to ask, Whirl, why did you choose to open not just any tavern, but a traveling tavern?
Well, there's this elf that I know, and she might be part of the. I'm not gonna say her name, but she might be part of the courts of the Feywild, and so I'm trying to protect her because she kind of ran away, and I'm not gonna say any more than that because it would give her away.
oh, come on, you're on a talk show.
Well,
Come on,
we,
Exactly.
we
a bit of
also
information,
we certainly don't
inside
want
a
any
scoop and all. You know,
we certainly don't want any Feywild court representatives knocking on our door.
what are
You
they gonna
definitely
What are they
don't.
gonna do? Phil, you're a lich and I'm a beholder. What are they gonna do to us?
Just 20 archfays showing up on your door. Have fun.
Oh, actually, that doesn't sound. That
Or
that
more.
sounds actually kind of
Oh.
not great actually.
That's
Yeah,
our life.
that's-
We dealt with
Also-
a few archfey, so
Yeah.
The last time I
Probably.
encountered one, I wound up waking up painted up like a Day of the Dead mascot, and it wasn't very fun.
Day of the what?
Day of the Dead, it's a holiday from one aspect of the multiverse. Now, that said, it's interesting that you created an entire tavern just to protect one person, and yet you keep drawing fresh adventurers. I do have to ask, what are some of the most interesting figures you ever had come through the bar?
well, an undead barbarian fighter guy. He was really weird. Didn't know what to do with him when he walked in, and then There was. Oh, there was the tiny little bird that I just love so much, and he's just the most adorable little thing in the world. And
Sorry,
then
a tiny bird.
yeah.
Kenku Sound
Oh,
Guy, would that be your cousin by any chance? No? Sorry. Anyways,
oh,
continue.
yeah, kind of like that.
So,
But
and why was there a bird in your bar? Just was
I'm
there a
not gonna
particular
turn down
reason?
just any
Just,
species. Anyone's welcome in my bar.
I don't know. I think Kenku seemed kind of useless. Just
Well,
they
that's
don't
your
s-
opinion, but they are actually very
except
useful
for
because
okay,
they took down
I
a dragon.
apologize.
So
Kenku Sound Guy, you're actually very very useful, and I love you very much. I would give you a hug, but it would probably end up disintegrating you. So I'm not gonna do that.
that's
But
not a good idea then.
no, yeah, but most Kenku, except for Kenku Sound Guy, are probably very useless.
Well,
And
this one
I
took down a
Right.
dragon. It kind of saved my bar.
oh,
But
to be fair, actually, that sounds pretty cool. He probably sounds like an amazing Kenku. He's probably
yeah,
like, very
there was
strong.
that group that
Yeah.
saved my bar from a dragon, and then there was another that saved it from a fire giant actually.
Ah, interesting.
Interesting.
Mhm.
A fire giant.
Now, you've seen, from what we've heard about, two very fantastic conflicts. One being against a fire giant, two being against a dragon. So I have to ask, in terms of these groups of adventurers that came through, what did it seem like they were capable of? What was their spread of skills? For example, against the fire
Wow.
giant.
As a fire giant, well, there was a tiefling that was not very smart. That kind of spilled beer and ale all over. Not very the best.
What a waste.
Yeah, it was okay. They were kind of fun to talk to, but
I'd almost call
there
it barbarous.
was true. There was a half-orc that seemed to be studying a lot, casting magic. Very kept quiet to himself, but definitely could cast some really good magic. Then there was a huge Goliath just decked out in plate armor and not afraid to help out his friends. So that was cool. And a tiny little gnome that looked like they were a monk. So
Ah,
didn't get to see
That's
much of them
actually a
fight.
very interesting
but-
combination.
well, you don't
Yeah,
often
it was very
see-
intriguing.
It's fairly rare for some of the smaller folk to wind up on the front lines like that. I've seen
Yeah,
quite.
especially being a monk, you know? They don't have very good reach with their arms, so
Yeah, he was very tiny.
yeah.
I've had some encounters with monks before. They can certainly.
They can do a lot.
It's
Definitely.
a bit terrifying, actually. Now, beyond that, a half-orc wizard tends to be right up my alley. I myself was a half-elf before the grand transformation, you see. But that said,
You look better this way, Phil.
well, thank you.
I can't tell.
I have been bleaching the bones a bit lately. That said,
Have you done something with your hair?
well, I mean, I pulled the rest of it out. It was getting a little.
That's what
wiry.
it is. That's what it is. Yeah, yeah.
Now, it's
Getting kind of
interesting.
wispy.
It is interesting to hear about such a wide spread of people, especially considering that they don't all seem to be typical by any
Oh,
means.
no, of course not.
It's been quite a while since I've heard of a Goliath being anything but a barbarian. Beyond that, even a tiefling being a bit more up front and center is fairly interesting. Their folk tends to be much more clever and much more personable, from what I know. That said, I do have to ask. You've had quite a few people come through your tavern. You've seen some fantastic fights as well. So, Whirl, what advice would you give to any new adventurers starting out for the first time?
I would say don't be afraid to take up a challenge, but run if you need to, because there's been some people that haven't really done well. There's been a few accidents because they just didn't want to give up. When I told them they should, I told them they needed to go, but they just didn't.
Can you give some examples of that? Or
Well, there was kind of a raid of gnomes. It went to one portal we bounced to, and there was just these two rogues that thought they could handle it all, and they didn't make it out. So that was not fun to deal with on the end of it. But
I guess for their cunning action, they took the die option.
Oh, right.
That's a bit.
Oh,
Wow.
oh, that was a bit eye-opening, Ray. I feel like I see you in a new light.
Yeah, that was. I was gonna make a C
That was
pun
a
myself, but you beat me to it. That was.
Well, I mean,
Okay.
for someone without eyes, I sort of have to make the puns when I can.
Hey,
It adds to the irony.
Yours are glowing, Phil.
They look
Absolutely,
nice.
just two little dots of starlight, beautiful.
Oh, these are Larry and Jerry, the wisps. Say hello.
Why do you have
alright then.
wisps? That's a little okay.
It makes me a bit more personable if it seems like I actually have eyes in my sockets.
I don't know if you noticed Whirl, but he's kind of like a rotting mass of.
Oh yeah, I know. I've dealt with a lich before.
So,
but why wisps? Those things are
I'm
scary.
sorry. Whoa! I'm sorry. You dealt with a lich, or
that's a story I will not get into.
Dealt with a lich, if you know what I mean. You fill you down. You know what I'm saying?
Yes,
right. Is he always like this?
Mostly. That said, it's wisps because they're the only ones that really provide light I can see through. Otherwise, anything else that glows I can stick in an eye socket just winds up being a bit blinding.
Okay.
Plus, it adds to the effect. I can't deny having a bit of a flair for the dramatic myself.
I can tell.
So Whirl, going back to the group that you said they fought a dragon.
Mm-hmm.
So what ended up happening to this particular group of people? What did they end up doing afterwards?
They went to go searching for I don't know exactly. They found like an item and they wanted to learn more about it, so they continued on. Haven't seen them since though.
And what kind of group of people? What are their skills among the group? What did they consist of? If you can remember.
Well, she did mention the undead one was a barbarian.
Oh, yep, the barbarian.
I think the Kenku. I think he was a rogue. He wasn't the best at it though. If he was.
Nah, they never are. Kenku aren't good at anything. So apart from Kenku,
they are at some things.
Honestly,
sound guy, cover your ears.
I honestly don't know why any adventuring group would ever want a Kenku in.
Right. Please. We don't want to
disparage anyone. They're good at some
anyone.
things, but I think he was new to
they
it.
They can't
so...
communicate properly, okay, is all I'm trying to say. They're not the most reliable of creatures to have in an adventuring party. They're just...
Hey, this guy was good to have a conversation with. He could actually write a little bit, so it wasn't too bad.
Well, okay, he can write.
He's a little more advanced than most Kenku.
I can write too, so, you know.
Anyways, then there was one that could cast magic. I don't know how they got it, but I'm guessing they made a pact of some sort, but I don't know more than that.
That would have been a warlock. I actually had a warlock intern a while back. Treated me as their patron. It's quite nice. Very one-sided.
And then you sacrificed him to become a lich. That was...
They made the choice themselves. Right.
Okay, that's a little
Did they, though? Did they?
Yes.
Phil?
It was part of their contract.
That's harsh.
Yeah, I bet that was in the small print. Okay, they seemed pretty surprised.
It wasn't.
When he sucked the soul out of them.
Well, I mean, they made the pact in a moment of desperation. They didn't really know what the pact entailed, so I informed them afterwards, and then by then they couldn't really get out of it, so it was a foregone conclusion.
Okay, that's just awful.
I have done my best. I mean, well, I've done my best to make up for it, shall we say. I'm an honest lich now. I'm making my living with a talk show. I'm not trying to end the world or trying to kill anyone.
I mean, yeah,
Yet.
that's a good thing.
We'll move on.
No, his idea of taking over the world is just, getting a very famous talk show. It's another form of taking over the world.
No, I prefer to think of it as taking the world by storm.
The ends don't justify the means, Ray.
Ray,
Okay.
Phil, I called you Ray.
you did, and sometimes you wind up
Sorry,
a bit
one of my eye
wise.
stalks was looking back at me, and I was just fixated on myself.
And
I
with
just-
that, Whirl, I can't thank you enough for coming to our show today. I wholeheartedly appreciate your being here and doing our interview. That's it for this week's episode, folks. Join us
It's
next
been
time.
interesting.
I do appreciate that.
It's the yawning portal. It's always interesting.
Very true.
Very true. Join us next time in the Yawning Portal for an interview with Joshua the Fire Giant about his recent attack on a small
That was his
town
name.
out there in the ether. Until then, enjoy your misadventures, everyone. Ta-ta.